Good afternoon. Good evening. We have a regular press briefing from Colonel Andriy Lysenko, our speaker from the National Security and Defense Council.
For the Ukraine's National Security and Defense Council. Thank you.
Доброго дня, шановні колеги.
Good afternoon, good evening, dear colleagues. Considering the host of questions that we received from our international colleagues, we would like to focus your attention on the fact that at midnight on the 1st of August, ATO forces, unlike terrorists, were maintaining ceasefire. There were no active operation in the area of the crash site. That night, we had preparatory arrangements for the active phase of ATO. Ukrainian forces provided for operations along the Russian-Ukrainian borders. Individual units of the enforcement bodies were withdrawn to the safe positions. Today, terrorists fired at positions and checkpoints of the ATO forces. Shelling and tank fire at Ukrainian forces was at Chervonopartizansk, twice mortar shelled at Ukrainian forces at Ambrosivka, and also mortar shelling at Zelena, Ambrosivka district, Donetsk Oblast. In Donetsk region, Ukrainian forces downed the Russian drone Alarm 10 that was doing reconnaissance of the dislocation of ATO forces. We are about to see the picture of this drone that was downed by the Ukrainian air defense. This is the avionics removed from the drone. That's for the images at the Russian border. Situation is still tense. This morning, for 3 hours, the combat lasted at Chervonopartizansk, Luhansk Oblast. Terrorists used mortars, tanks, and firearms. Twice they shot at our border guards. In the afternoon, Dovzhansky checkpoint was fired at. At the same time, from Marfinka, Russian Federation, there was shelling of the Ukrainian checkpoint Uspenka. Uspenka is the name of the checkpoint in the direction of Malokaterinivka in the Russian Federation to Shevchenko in Ukraine, 1 kilometer away from the state border. In the territory of the Russian Federation, positions of anti-aircraft OSA position was identified. This is usually used to provide fire cover for infantry. In all operations, depending on their modification, such units can bear from 4 to 10 missiles. The range is up to 9 kilometers. The speed of missiles up to 490 kilometers per hour. Yesterday, bodyguards from Kharkiv detachment apprehended at the border a Russian national who crossed the border illegally. That was done in the Ukrainian territory. That's the person. You can see him in this picture. And he had everything and even some convenience goods. And that he was reported by locals. The Sola bodyguards apprehended him at Lipki village, Kharkiv Oblast. He was identified as a Russian national. He was wearing uniform, had a knife, an axe, signal missiles, and compass. He explained that he was going to Vinnytsia to his relative, but he failed to provide any particulars of so-called relatives. He was prohibited entrance to Ukraine for 3 years, and he was transferred back to the Russian Federation. Now we have ongoing rotation of the force of the National Guards of Ukraine from Lutsk and Zaporizhzhia. The new forces are coming, and the locals are receiving people coming back from the ATO as heroes. Help the Ukrainian army. Such an action took place in Rynek Square in Lviv. They opened a wooden monument of Lviv night, and that night had to attract attention to needs of Ukrainian soldiers. Lviv night was made in 1916 and was originally used for rallying and raising funds for the local garrison. The First World War in 1916. Now, 100 years later, the Lviv night is back and doing the same thing. Now about the situation in the ATO. Shakhtarsk, Donetsk Oblast, terrorists are getting ready for a possible attack from the ATO forces. They're concentrating armor and groups of fighters there. Terrorists plan to mine all the inroads, main roads, and strategic facilities there. At Yakovlivka, at Donetsk, terrorists arrange a new checkpoint at Mineralny Yasinuvata district, not far from Shakhty, where they placed Grad units, and they are shooting at Donetsk airport and ATO positions at Avdiivka. Sappers of Ukrainian forces cleared 250 kilos of plastic explosive devices under the bridge in Donetsk, Luhansk in Donetsk Oblast. That was done by professionals, by subversive forces, well trained and experienced, with many years of experience. They also cleared 27 mine with caliber 122 millimeters. That was abandoned by terrorists when they were escaping the ATO forces in the area. Starting from today in Kramatorsk, the system of water supplies is in order again. Drinkable water from the filter facility. So round the clock water supplies are restored. From the first day in Slaviansk, all the trolley buses were put back on their routes. The works are ongoing with night lighting for the city. Gas supplies have been restored, transmission lines and water supplies. The Sanitary and Epidemic Service concluded analysis of the watersheds and water wells, water quality. It's normal. The general number of nationals who were internally displaced, originally coming from the ATO area, is 62,394 people. And among them, we have almost 22,000 children. Over last day, territories under the terrorist control were left by 2,210 people, out of which 746 were children. During July, according to the regional stops and transit points, they provided railway carriage for 2,036 people, out of them 872 children, and 125 people left during last day, and 24 children among them. Curious information on expansion of our population. In resettlements, families, starting from the day of confrontation, 114 children were born, 67 boys and 47 girls. The leader in birth rate is the capital of Ukraine, the city of Kiev. Eastern families had 49 babies here. In Dnipropetrovsk Oblast, the resettlers had 24, and Lviv Oblast, 13 children. And also, starting from the military confrontation in the Crimea, the resettlers had 56 babies, 22 boys and 34 girls. In Lviv region, two couples of twins were born, and all the mothers are provided with all the necessary medication and medical commodities. Pediatricians are taking care of the families with the newborns, and IDPs have to register at the nearest healthcare institution to receive medical assistance. Joe Biden, Vice President of Ukraine, and Prime Minister of Japan, Shinzo Abe, discussed new sanctions introduced because of the conflict in the east of Ukraine. Vice President of the U.S. commanded Japanese sanctions, and they accommodated future coordination of G7 countries to put pressure on Russia in order to stop Russian destabilization in Ukraine. That concludes my official information. Your questions now.
STB channel, the bodyguards said that they gave photo and video evidence of how the Russian aviation is crossing the border. They gave it to the Council of National Security and Defense. We will show you all the evidence. We're just reformatting them. Just wait. We will show that to you, and not just you, to everyone. Could you please say which units out of those which were in circle were taken out of that circle? Are the brigades 72, 79? These are several units, several brigades, including those that you have mentioned. And today there's information also that the servicemen in Brigade 72 were poisoned by something on the border. There's information that on the border some chemical substance was used against them, and they were poisoned. Yesterday in the morning, that information was in the internet and social media. They were saying that Ukrainian bodyguards were shelled by the shells which are prohibited for combat. They do not are not included into the convention, and this information wasn't confirmed. There was information that such shells were not used. Where they write? Because people write on the fences as well. In social media, they talk about 870 soldiers and officers of Brigade 72 who went there, and about 100 of them returned back home. How can you comment? Can you tell us how was the withdrawal organized? The Ukrainian army was not withdrawing. There was the change of position in order to preserve the personnel, talking about this brigade, we don't have a single case that they would take the whole brigade out and let them go, even wounded. We do have some planned rotation of the personnel, and that's unit by unit. The wounded, those who got wounds the same day, they are evacuated and they are taken to medical hospitals, and the assistance is provided to them. Those people who have been in the zone of ATO for a long time, they are replaced first by those who are prepared. We do have a big reserve, and there's no problem in replacing people. So that's what I can tell you, because 870 soldiers left the front line immediately. This doesn't happen. That was probably written on the fence. Sorry. That's the planned rotation. People are there. They are executing their orders, the task. It's the question on mobilization of IDPs. Is there such mobilization taking place? Are these people who are IDPs registered in some other military commissariats? The partial mobilization, it covers all the male population of Ukraine, which is planned to be mobilized. The necessity and resources is defined by law enforcement bodies which participate in ATO. As to people who have the status of internally displaced persons, they act within the framework of Ukrainian legislation, which means that any person who changes the place of residence has to be registered after moving to a new place of residence during 2 weeks. And that is done by the local authorities and by military commissariats who are accounting for military resources. And will they be mobilized? Can you say, if they fall under mobilization, if their military specialization is in the list of those needed, they will be mobilized. Is there any information whether some of them were already mobilized, maybe 1,500? No. Mobilization hasn't finished. The time frame is 45 days, which are given for mobilization. Maybe you have information. In Poltava and Lviv Oblast, the heads of the regional councils demand to register these IDPs, and also the governor of Zaporizhzhia region informed that mobilization of IDPs in their region started. Can you confirm this information or double check it? Thank you for your question. I would like to again say that these are Poltava and Lviv region. The heads of regional councils, they're responsible for mobilization resources together with the commissariats. And what they are talking about, that is the confirmation of the fact that they are conducting such mobilization. They are basically that they are registering, trying to register all these people, and these people are to be registered at the military commissariat. These are the just calls for the male population who move to other places so that they really do that. And after these IDPs get registered, if their specialty, military specialty, is the one that is needed, they will be mobilized without any exceptions, just like everyone else. If their military specialty is really the one that is needed, if their health, if they're in good health, within the norms, then they will be enrolled. Deutsche Welle informs that NATO confirmed that the Ukrainian army is using ballistic missiles. On the 29th, the journalist informed of that first. And also, do you know anything about these 11 servicemen who disappeared in the result of the combat near Shakhtarsk? We have not received any materials from NATO about the use of ballistic missiles. We cannot provide any comments. We haven't received this. Ukrainian army, you mean? Cannot hear the question, sorry. What confirmation? How can you comment? Can you? We do not have any documents. We have not received from NATO information. Can you deny or confirm that Ukrainian army was using or was not using ballistic missiles? Then what does NATO have to do with that? There was the information. How can you comment on that? You were saying that Ukrainian army is not using ballistic missiles. Can you say whether they were used or not? Again, I will repeat, ballistic missiles, according to international classification, in Ukraine, were eliminated on the 1st of July 1996. They were eliminated according to the program introduced by the US. That was the program reduction of threat. So we don't have such missiles of small range or medium range. Now, the question about 11 disappeared. The figures are the same, 10 killed, 13 wounded. We're trying to clarify the situation with others. We have not received any answer. Could you please say Ukraine in the ATO, can it use satellites of military satellites, like forcing the militants, like in order to leave the militants without means of communication? That's quite technical question. I'm not a specialist in satellite communication. I know that to get the information about where the militants are or how they move, we use different methods, collect the intelligence or do monitoring, surveillance, reconnaissance before we apply some air bombing. The information is double-checked from different sources, not to commit any mistakes. First thing that is taken into account is the distance from residential areas, from settlements, so that the settlements and residential apartments do not suffer from that.
I would like to clarify how many kilometers away from the ambush where 10 soldiers perished from the crash site. What's the distance from the crash site? Let me see. The crash site is here. Shakhtarsk is here. At Shakhtarsk, our column was attacked by terrorists. Our column wasn't engaged in any fighting. It was attacked by the terrorists from the ambush. Terrorists could not bear the pause, could not contain themselves in kilometers. I cannot tell you, but it's very close. It's very, very close. Another question. Lyudmila Linik, Municipal Courier. Andriy, tell us, please, are you preparing a special report? We are interested in the Brigade 72 and the casualties, people who perished. Are you preparing a special report? Special report. We are in We have only precise information. If information is not clarified, we are very careful about it because it's about human lives. And this is very important. This is very serious. Thank you very much, Colonel, for your information. I would like to remind you